Here's a list of over Unity technologies that were listed in a briefing that went to President Obama. And there's a whole list of them, but I just point out, for example, number 4.5, where my arrow is, the water-enhanced combustion technology. That's the water-powered car that I was just talking about. The first one, 4.1, is a solid-state electromagnetic free energy generator. This is something that actually exists in the clandestine group. I mean, it's not, obviously not on the market. At least I don't know of it being on the market.
Well, if you have one of these units, you know, that's about 16 inches long and about 8 inches high and about 10 inches wide, then you don't need to plug into Kit Carson, the local electric company. It burns nothing. No pollution, okay? It never wears out because there's no moving parts. What the people in power right now don't want us to know is that this free energy is available to everybody.
So it's there. We are, oil, coal, nuclear is obsolete, has been obsolete. All the money that has spent on NASA sending flights to the moon and here and that could have been done without jet fuel and without rocket fuel and all that. The technology has been here, and it's simply been suppressed. There's a picture of an alien reproduction vehicle. This is something that actually exists in the clandestine group. So this is a so-called flying saucer that is made by Earthlings and flies and makes some appearances. At the bottom, at the base, you see some capacitors, which are plates with different charges. And so this is really high voltage, low current. By changing the charge on those various capacitors, you can allow this vehicle to move in any direction, in any speed, go up and down. And it does these amazing things, going very fast, 90-degree turns. How can it do that? Pilots will black out. It's mass canceled. Gravity is canceled. There's no gravity within there. Amazing stuff. I mean, we're really old-fashioned. But so this exists. The difference between this and a real so-called flying saucer, an alien flying saucer, or an ET flying saucer, this one has sections and rivets and so on. The real ones are all one piece because they're materialized. Their clothing doesn't have buttons and zippers and so on. They materialize. Now, you know, I get a lot of stuff about the ETs are hostile. They want to come to the Earth and they want to get our resources and they want our steel, they want our iron, and they can materialize anything they want. Why would they want, you know, copper or gold or anything like that? They materialize whatever they want. And as I say, their clothing is sort of a flexible metallic clothing that's all one piece. The great concern about things like this is that there is a fear that there will be a hoaxed attack by aliens on Earth. Hoaxed, and now who would want to do that? Well, those who are interested in having the airspace and defense contracts still be prosperous as we gradually, I have my fingers crossed, but as we gradually get less and less of war. The Cold War is over after all, and maybe we'll learn not to be so violent. So who are we going to build weapons against if we don't really have enemies? So we need enemies in space. That's what I'm afraid of.
When I was a corporate manager of Fairchild Industries in 1974 through 77, I met the late Dr. Werner von Braun in early 74. At that time, von Braun was dying of cancer, but he assured me that he would live a few more years in order to tell me about the game that was being played, that game being the effort to weaponize space, to control the Earth from space and space itself. Von Braun's purpose in life during the last years of his life, his dying years, was to educate the public and decision makers about why space-based weapons are a dumb, dangerous, destabilizing, too costly, unnecessary, unworkable, undesirable idea. The strategy that Wernher von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in '74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids, against asteroids we're going to build space-based weapons. So it was funny then. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie.
Vested economic interest, fossil fuels, autos, highways. Incidentally, anti-gravitic vehicles levitate. You don't need roads. I mean, wouldn't that be neat if you could tear up all the concrete and plant vegetables or trees? Also, individual inventors like Stanley Meyer or T. Townsend Brown and others, and so many others. There are lots of them. They may not really know much theory. You don't need a lot of theory. Edison and to a lesser extent, Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla knew some theory. Edison knew almost no theory. You don't need to know a lot of theory to be an inventor. There are inventors working out in their garages, and they come up with something. They sell it to GE. GE may even say, "Okay, we're going to promote this. We're going to, and you'll get a royalty." They put it on a shelf. It's never produced. There's actually something in the U.S. Patent Office that they can sequester patents that go against, so-called against national security risk. And Federation of American Scientists did a study on that, and I remember one that they mentioned. Any conversion device, that is to say, if you have solar panels that make electricity, any such device that had a greater efficiency than 30% is a matter of national security. Who would want that to be secret? Obviously, people who don't want solar power. Individual inventors sometimes simply don't have the background or the equipment to develop their patents. And there's been many cases of intimidation, threats.
This whole project of bringing this out in the open will probably take other people too. But myself, I'm 73 years old, and I've had a good life and no regrets, and I've loved this country, and I've been a Christian all my life since I was about 11 years old. And so I believe God wants this known. I believe the cosmos wants this known.